Let's get some more clarity on this section that is taken now by the Westville Ratepayers, the chairperson of the association, Asad Gaffar, joining us now. Asad, good to have you. Thank you very much for coming on. I mean, if you were to ask probably the authorities, including government, they would tell you that withholding rates or any levies or taxes for that matter, it aggravates the problem that persists in the country. It doesn't make it any better.
Yes, thank you very much. But, I mean, at which point do we draw the line in the sand? If we're saying it doesn't make it any better, we are certainly at the lowest point that we can be.
Yeah. The options, I suppose, are that change the government, one would say, become an activist member of society, choose better leaders.
Look, that is a valid point. We've been waiting for a political solution for almost 30 years. To be honest with you, we are at a point, and the action that we are taking, we never at any point in our life since 1994 ever imagined that we would be back in the same position where we started. We've come full circle. The Constitution that we wrote was designed to protect all of us. The Municipal Systems Act, the Municipal Finance Management Act, the Municipal Structures Act, the Municipal Property Rates Act, all of this, including our Constitution, was designed so that we never ever end up in a situation where government becomes the bully and they dictate and they're not listening to the people. Yeah. I mean, the fact that we try to engage with this municipality, and that's one of the processes. In terms of adopting the budget, you must actively engage, you must have public participation, you must listen to their concerns, you must take into account the socio-economic conditions prevalent at the time. How is it then now that we're sitting at a point in time where none of these things are taking place? More of a concern is if there was an actual need for this budget, we wouldn't have an issue with that. Yeah. The problem is the way that the money is being spent after it's been collected. And that is the issue that we have.
So what is the framework, so to speak, that governs this rate boycott?
We've declared a dispute. In terms of the dispute, we're using the Municipal Systems Act, Section 102, subsection 2. Once you've declared the dispute, the municipality must engage with us. It's a formalized process. They haven't engaged with us, which means that they are in violation of the law. We are still saying, come, let's talk, let's sit down, let's find a solution, because this is what we want to do. We want to find a solution. Yeah. And what are those solutions? We are saying that the Auditor General reports for the last 5 years, for the last 10 years, has been telling you where the problems are. It's been guiding you in terms of solutions. You are not listening to what the Auditor General is telling you, and basically all you have to do is implement accordingly to of that report. If you follow that report, we wouldn't be sitting in this position. Yeah. So therefore now, we are saying we've declared the dispute, and as a sign of protest, which is also enshrined in the Constitution, we are saying we are not going to pay you at the end of the month. We will do what we need to do. If you feel that we are acting unlawfully, take us to court. We don't have a problem with that.
So does that dispute then prohibit the municipality from, for example, withholding services like water and electricity?
Look, there are precedents already in the court. Once a dispute has been declared, they cannot just come and implement any credit control policies. So they can't disconnect you. They can't disconnect your electricity. We do envisage that they will try. And we have made preparations for that. I mean, right now, we go weeks and days without electricity. So that threat of them disconnecting us with electricity doesn't really shake us or move us. And should they do, we will definitely go to court for a poliation order. I mean, everyone knows that that's what we're going to do. The city knows that we're going to do. The question that they need to ask, and this is the question that we are asking them, we are saying we are not going to pay you at the end of July. we are asking the city, by the time you come to disconnect us, because first you have to give us notice. So whether you give us 3 days or 5 days or 7 days, it's up to you. You can decide. You have to give us notice you want to disconnect us. Would you be able to survive 4 days or 5 days without any money in your coffers? How are you going to pay your staff? How are you going to pay your salaries? Are you prepared to go down that route? And by the time you go and give me notice, and by the time I go to court, probably it will be maybe 2 weeks in August. So maybe by the 12th or the 13th of August, then only we're finding a solution. In the meantime, how are you going to repay your loans? How are you going to pay your staff? How are you going to function?
I have to ask myself, as all this is happening, where is the political representative that was voted for clearly by the majority of the people to represent them in council?
This is a major concern. Earlier this afternoon, or late this afternoon, I was interviewed by Vuma radio. And whilst we were talking on radio, a thought came to mind. This is such an important point. And I'm just talking about the electricity tariff, which is 18.49%. Now, people think, these guys in Westville, yes, they're middle class, whatever. They can survive all of this and they just carry on with life, etc., etc. It was so heartbreaking to hear those people on radio and how they have been pleading with the city. And the reason why I'm talking about this, it's easy for the city to look at us and say, you know what, we will disconnect you, etc., etc. A poor person normally buys electricity with 50 Rand or 100 Rand, and that's it. They don't have another 50 Rand to buy electricity, or they don't have another 100 Rand to buy electricity. They live in the township, their budget is 50 Rand a month, they go and buy the tokens, they put it into their prepaid meter. Once the electricity is used up, it's finished, there's nothing they can do till they wait till the next pension comes. Now the city is imposing an 18.49 tariff increase. It doesn't only affect the citizens in Westville, it's also affecting the people in the township. How have they not taken that into account?
Is the councillor that represents your ward raising these issues in council?
I very much doubt that any of the political representation. I mean, Westville, we have 2 ANC councillors and we have 2 DA councillors. But that's besides the point. And I've always said this is not going to be a political solution. If it was going to be as easy as a political solution, then on the 30th of May, when council took the resolution to vote in this budget, we were present at that meeting. We pleaded with each of the political parties. We submitted to them what that impact is going to be. And guess what? The budget got adopted on the 30th of May. There's videos of the ANC dancing in jubilation because the budget was passed.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable?
So you are saying to us that if there was some degree or level of transparency, shall I say, an explanation in how this taxpayer money is going to be spent carefully, people of Westville would want to listen and maybe even pay those rates.
That's exactly the point that we made. In fact, at the same meeting that I'm talking about, the budget, when they were adopting the budget, the CFO walked over to me. He sat next to me. We spoke. He says, I understand your concerns. And I explained to him, I understand your concerns because the city needs to function. And yes, the city needs to take a tariff increase. We've accepted that. So I said, but at the rate that you are putting it, it's unaffordable. So he said, okay, let's arrange a meeting. I'll arrange a meeting just between yourselves as the Westville Ratepayers Association, himself as the CFO, and he will call the COO. We will sit in a boardroom. He'll give me reasons as to why he needs to put his budget. I said, I'll put my reasons as to why you need to reduce your budget. Let's find middle ground. Once we come to an understanding, we can sign off on that. we will walk away and we will encourage our people to support this budget. He agreed to that. We had this meeting. At this meeting, we put a proposal forward. I told him, Dr. Sandile, let me put an alternate budget on the table. His response to me was, it's too late now. The budget has already been adopted. Let's think about it for the next financial year. Now, being in the position that he's in, he should be aware that the Municipal Finance Management Act makes provisions for the budget to be adjusted and relooked if there is a need for it. And the mayor has the right to adjust the budget. I mean, it's not a done deal. Even right now, as we sit, they cannot come to us and say the budget is adopted, that's it, we're moving on. We can still sit down, we can still talk about it, we can still come to some sort of solution. The main issue, and this is why they can't sit down with us, and this is an important point, the Auditor General report, and we're not talking about forensic reports, we're not talking about anything, we're just talking what's out there in the public sphere. For the last 5 financial years, eThekwini municipality has lost 50 billion rand. 50 billion rand. It's a whole year's budget. Surely, a lot could have been done to have avoided this and to have mitigated such a high tariff increase.
So what were your proposals in terms of the budget that you were putting forward? Because one could ask, why do you believe you can be able to carry out the service delivery obligations with a budget that is particularly different to that which has been put together through, I am assuming, an IDP process and has been voted for and looked at by various parties in council?
We're not talking about taking over services. That's not even what we're talking about. What we're talking about is putting systems in place to ensure that the money that is collected from the ratepayers and also in terms of the revenue that they generate from services and tariffs, it needs to be put to good use. That's what we're talking about. And we're saying we want an oversight on that. We can't continue the way we're continuing. I mean, think about this here. The way that the city is running at the moment, the infrastructure has collapsed, right? And every time you speak to the city and you ask them, what is going on here? Why is the sewer leak not sorted out? Why is water just gushing out millions and millions of liters? And they'll tell you that the sewer infrastructure has aged.
Yeah.
Now, every year we ask you, you're going to keep telling us it's aging infrastructure. At which point are you now going to sit down and say, let's put a plan in place for the next 5 years or 10 years or 30 years. This is how much we're going to put money aside, and we will start from one section starting to fix the city. That discussion hasn't happened as yet. When is that discussion going to happen?
I hear you, man. You're raising rather important questions, and we'll certainly want to take this a little bit forward and get some more answers from the eThekwini municipality. But Asad, let me thank you very much for coming on today and for raising these issues. That's Asad Gaffar, Chairperson of the Westville Ratepayers Association.